I swear the universe has a personal vendetta against me. It all started with the sound of rushing water, loud gurgling, and way too close to my bed. I blinked awake, saw my slippers floating like tiny boats, and screamed, "My notes!" I jumped up, clutching my drenched laptop bag. My dorm room looked like a mini swimming pool, the carpet squelching beneath my feet. By the time maintenance arrived, I was standing in ankle-deep water, holding my textbooks above my head like a survivor of some academic shipwreck. "Pipe burst," the guy said. "You'll have to move out for a few days." A few days. Sure. No big deal. Except every dorm room on campus was full. Every single one. That's how I ended up standing in front of Ryan Blake's door, suitcase in hand, heart pounding with dread. Ryan Blake, the campus golden boy. Captain of the basketball team. The guy who somehow made professors laugh and girls giggle just by existing. The same guy who once called me library girl, because I told him to stop talking during study hours. I knocked. He opened the door wearing a towel around his neck and a grin that made me instantly regret every life choice that led me here. "Well, well. Emma Carter. To what do I owe this honor?" "I need a place to stay," I muttered, crossing my arms. "Don't make this weird." "Oh, it's already weird," he said, leaning on the doorframe. "But come in, library girl." The room was surprisingly tidy, clean sheets, a desk stacked with sports gear, and the faint scent of body wash. My side of the room had a tiny spare bed, probably for guests, and a small desk. "This is temporary," I said firmly, setting my bag down. "Just until they fix my dorm." He smirked. Sure. I'll try not to fall in love with you in the meantime." Haha. I rolled my eyes. "You wish." But later that night, when the rain started again and thunder shook the windows, I couldn't sleep. I turned over and saw Ryan sitting on his bed, typing something on his laptop. His jaw was tight, his expression softer than usual. For a moment, he didn't look like the popular guy everyone adored. He looked real. Then he noticed me staring. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Not with you breathing so loud." He grinned. "You snore." "I do not." "You do. And you talk in your sleep." I frowned. "Liar." He leaned back, eyes half-lidded, voice low. "You called my name." My heart did something stupid. "You're making that up." "Maybe." His grin turned softer, almost teasing. "But if you do it again, I'll record it." I threw a pillow at him. "Go to sleep, idiot." As I lay back down trying to ignore the heat rising in my cheeks, I couldn't help but wonder, what if he wasn't lying? If I'd known living with Ryan Blake meant losing every ounce of peace in my life, I would have taken my chances camping under the library roof. By morning he was already making noise, clattering dishes, humming off-key, acting like this was his personal sitcom. "Do you have to be this loud at 7 a.m.? I groaned, dragging my blanket over my head. "Good morning to you too, sunshine," he said, far too cheerful. "Want coffee?" I peeked out. He was shirtless. Of course he was. The universe didn't just hate me, it enjoyed the show. "Put on a shirt," I muttered. "Some of us have delicate eyes." He laughed. "Delicate? Please. You look like you could fight a bear." "I would," I said, "if it snored as loud as you do." That earned a grin and a mug of coffee slid my way. "Truce." I hesitated, then took it. "Temporary." We drank in silence for a minute, and for the first time, I noticed how nice his coffee smelled, rich and sweet, like something you'd get from an expensive cafe. The sunlight spilled through the blinds, catching in his hair, and I realized something that annoyed me even more than his grin. Ryan Blake looked good in the morning. I shook my head fast. "No. Not going there." "Okay," I said, setting down my mug. "If we're going to survive this, we need ground rules." He raised an eyebrow. "Ground rules?" "Yes." I grabbed my notebook. Rule 1, no walking around shirtless. Denied. Rule 2, I continued, ignoring him, no touching my stuff. Especially my snacks. Even the chocolate bars? Especially the chocolate bars. He leaned closer, smirking. What if I offer you one in exchange for an exception to Rule 1? I glared. Rule 3, no flirting. That wasn't flirting. That was negotiating. Ryan. Fine. He lifted his hands in surrender. No flirting. Unless you start it first. I threw my pen at him. He dodged, laughing. The sound filled the room, light and warm, and for a second, I forgot I was supposed to hate him. Later that afternoon, I sat on my desk trying to finish an essay while Ryan played guitar on his bed. The sound was soft, surprisingly gentle, like he was trying not to disturb me, but somehow he still did. His fingers moved easily, and I caught myself watching again. Do you ever stop staring at me? He said without looking up. I cleared my throat. Making sure you weren't butchering that song. He chuckled. Relax, library girl. You can admit I'm good. You're average. He grinned. Your face says otherwise. I huffed and turned back to my laptop, but it was useless. Every time he strummed a chord, my heart did that annoying flutter thing. I told myself it was just nerves. Forced proximity. Lack of sleep. Anything but attraction. By evening, we were both hungry and broke, so we ordered instant ramen and ate on the floor like two broke college students bonding over poverty and poor life choices. See, he said between bites. We make a good team. You poured boiling water into my laptop charger earlier. Accidentally. That's not the word I'd use. He laughed again, and somehow it made me smile too. When the lights went out later that night, because apparently the power in this dorm had a sense of humor, I groaned from my bed. Great. No Wi-Fi, no lights, no sanity. Ryan's voice came from the dark. Could be worse. How? I could start singing. Please don't. A soft laugh. Then quiet. Just the sound of rain outside, steady and calm. I rolled over, facing his bed even though I couldn't see him. Hey Ryan. Yeah. Thanks. For letting me stay. There was a pause. Then, softly, anytime, Emma. My heart shouldn't have skipped a beat at that. But it did. If someone had told me a week ago I'd be living with Ryan Blake and almost enjoying it, I would have laughed in their face. But there I was, sitting on the dorm floor, eating popcorn, and watching him try and fail to assemble a new bookshelf. You're doing it wrong, I said, pointing at the instructions. I'm innovating, he said, hammering a nail sideways. You're destroying it. He glanced up, a strand of hair falling over his forehead. You could help, you know. I could, I said sweetly, but then who would laugh at you? Ryan grinned. You're cruel. Efficient, I corrected. He stood, stretching, and the movement pulled his shirt up just enough to reveal toned abs. I looked away so fast I almost gave myself whiplash. Focus, Emma. Wood nails, not abs. Okay, fine, I muttered, kneeling beside him. Let me see the manual. He passed it to me, our fingers brushing for half a second. Just skin. Just warmth. But my heart did that stupid flip again. I ignored it, flipping through the pages like it was the most fascinating piece of literature in history. We worked together in silence after that, bumping elbows and exchanging glares every time he messed up a screw. Eventually, the shelf stood proudly, slightly tilted but standing. Ryan wiped his hands. See? Teamwork. Yeah, I said. If by teamwork you mean me fixing your disasters. He grinned. You love fixing me. I opened my mouth to snap back, but nothing came out. Because his tone wasn't teasing this time. It was soft, low, the kind of voice that brushed against your skin like a whisper. And we were close. Too close. I could see the little flecks of gold in his eyes. The curve of his smile fading into something almost nervous. His hand rested near mine, not touching, but close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating off him. Ryan. I started, my voice smaller than I meant it to be. He leaned just a little closer. Yeah. The door banged open. Ryan. A voice shouted. A tall guy with a basketball bag stepped in. Coach says, oh. Hi. I jumped back like I'd been electrocuted. Hi. I was just, helping with wood. Ryan groaned. Perfect timing, man. His friend grinned, eyes darting between us. Did I interrupt something? No. I said too fast. Ryan smirked. Yes. Ryan. All right. He raised his hands in surrender. Emma, this is Jake, my teammate. Jake, this is Emma, my temporary roommate/chaos generator. Jake chuckled. Dude, you didn't tell me she was cute. I choked. Excuse me. Ryan gave Jake a look that made him shut up real quick. Okay, you can leave now. Jake winked and backed out. See you later, lovebirds. As the door closed, I turned to Ryan, cheeks burning. Lovebirds. He smirked. He's not entirely wrong. I threw a cushion at him. You're impossible. He caught it easily, laughing. You're blushing. I am not. R2. I turned away, crossing my arms. You're annoying. And yet, he said, stepping closer again, his voice teasing but softer now, you're still here. For once, I didn't have a comeback. Because he was right. I was still there, standing in his room, feeling the space between us shrink a little more every day. That night, as I lay in bed pretending to scroll through my phone, I could hear him breathing on the other side of the room. Steady, calm, comfortable. And somewhere deep down, I realized something terrifying. I was starting to like living with him. There's a universal law about denial. The more you try to prove you don't like someone, the more obvious it becomes that you totally do. So I made a plan. A distraction plan. Step 1, spend less time around Ryan. Step 2, talk to someone else, preferably someone safe, boring, and absolutely not Ryan Blake. Enter Ethan Moore, a sweet guy from my English class who wore cardigans and smelled like cinnamon rolls. He laughed at my sarcasm, remembered my coffee order, and most importantly, didn't make my heart feel like it was about to explode every time he smiled. Perfect. Totally safe. So when he asked, do you want to grab coffee after class? I said yes. By the time I got back to the dorm that night, Ryan was sitting on the couch, spinning a basketball in one hand. Hey, library girl. Where were you? Out, I said casually, dropping my bag. With who? Ethan. The ball slipped off his hand and thudded on the floor. Ethan Moore? The guy with the poetry obsession. Yes, that Ethan. I crossed my arms. Why? No reason. He leaned back, pretending not to care. Just didn't know you liked the cardigan type. I don't like anyone, I said too quickly. It was just coffee. Coffee, he repeated slowly. Right. He stood and walked past me toward the kitchen. I could feel the tension shift, like the air got thicker somehow. Since when did coffee become a dangerous word? 2 days later, I was sitting with Ethan again, laughing at something he said about Shakespeare when my phone buzzed. Ryan, you're late for our roommate meeting. Me, we don't have a meeting. Ryan, we do now. I sighed. Sorry, Ethan. Roommate emergency. When I got back, Ryan was sitting at the table with 2 mugs of hot chocolate and a stack of papers. What is this? I asked. New roommate rules. I frowned. Again. He nodded seriously. Rule number 7, no bringing guys back to the dorm. I almost choked. What? Why? It's about safety, he said, too fast. What if they're weird? What if they steal my stuff? I raised an eyebrow. Your stuff? Really? He shrugged. Also, I just don't want random guys around you. There it was, the slip, the real reason. I folded my arms. You're jealous. He smirked. Jealous? Of cardigan boy? Please. Then why do you care? He met my eyes for a second too long. Because you deserve better. The words hit harder than they should have. I looked away, suddenly unsure what to do with my hands, or my heart. You can't just say things like that, I murmured. Why not? It's true. Ryan. He sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. Look, I know we mess around, but I like having you here, Emma. Maybe too much. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was warm and fragile, like one wrong word would break it. Then, mercifully, my phone buzzed again. Ethan, had fun today. Next time dinner? I typed back quickly before I could stop myself. Sure. Ryan's eyes flicked to the screen. His smile faded, just a little. Dinner, huh? It's just food, I said quietly. He nodded, forcing a grin. Right. Just food. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying his words in my head. Maybe too much. Why did those 3 words feel like a confession? And why did mine, the ones I didn't say, hurt to swallow? I turned over, pulling the blanket tighter around me, trying not to look at his bed across the room. Because I knew if I did, I'd see him lying there awake too. And we'd both know exactly what we weren't saying. When Ethan said dinner, I didn't expect the fanciest restaurant in town. Candlelight, white tablecloths, and waiters who looked like they'd judge your life choices. It was a lot for a college girl with ramen-level savings. I showed up anyway, in a blue dress that made me feel like I was trying too hard. Ethan smiled when he saw me. Wow, Emma. You look beautiful. Thanks, I said, smiling back. You too. I mean, you look nice. Not that you're, never mind. He laughed, easy and kind. The perfect date. The kind of guy any sane person would fall for. So why did I keep checking my phone? Halfway through dinner, it buzzed. Ryan, you alive? Me, yes. I'm eating. Ryan, with cardigan guy. Me, his name is Ethan. Ryan, right. Tell him I said hi. Me, no. Ryan, then at least tell him to stop staring at you like a puppy. I almost dropped my fork. How does he even know that? Then came another text. Ryan, look up. And there he was. At the bar. Ryan Blake, in a black hoodie, pretending to read a menu like he didn't just follow me here. I blinked. You have got to be kidding me. Ethan looked up. Everything okay? Yeah, I said quickly. Just nothing. Ryan caught my eye and grinned like this was the funniest thing in the world. I mouthed, leave. He raised his glass. Cheers. I could have strangled him. By dessert, Ethan leaned forward, smiling shyly. I'm really glad we're doing this, Emma. You're easy to talk to. Thanks, I said, trying to ignore the tall shadow that just happened to walk past our table. Ryan. Again. Ethan frowned. Is that Ryan Blake? I forced a smile. Probably just a coincidence. Coincidence, Ryan said loudly, pulling up a chair beside us. Hey, Emma. Fancy seeing you here. I kicked him under the table. Hard. He winced but didn't move. Mind if I join? The service here's great. Ethan looked confused. We were kind of roommates, Ryan interrupted, slinging an arm over the chair. We live together. Temporarily. Ethan's eyebrows shot up. You what? I could feel my soul leaving my body. Ryan was just leaving. Ryan smiled sweetly. Actually, I was just about to order dessert. You like chocolate lava cake, right, Emma? Ethan cleared his throat. I should probably, get going. Big day tomorrow. And just like that, he was gone. I turned to Ryan, furious. Are you insane? He grinned, completely unbothered. Probably. But you're welcome. For what? For saving you from boredom 101. I stared at him. You ruined my date. He leaned closer, eyes softening just a little. It wasn't a date. It was a date. Then why did you keep looking for me? I froze. I wasn't. Yes, you were, he said quietly. You do that thing with your hands when you're nervous. You were checking your phone every 5 minutes. You weren't really there, Emma. The anger in my chest melted into something else. Something warm and confusing. He looked at me, not smirking this time, just looking. Maybe, he said softly, You're not supposed to be. I hated that he was right. I hated even more how much my heart liked hearing it. Ryan, I whispered, you're infuriating. He smiled, standing. And you're adorable when you're mad. As he walked away, I realized my night wasn't ruined after all. It was just complicated. And maybe that scared me more than anything. For 2 days after the date that wasn't, Ryan acted like nothing had happened. No teasing. No smirks. No late-night jokes about me snoring. Just silence, and it was worse than all his jokes combined. By the 3rd night, I couldn't take it anymore. He was on the couch, headphones in, scrolling through his phone. I marched over and stood right in front of him until he looked up. What? He said, one eyebrow raised. You're ignoring me. I'm not. You're doing it right now. He sighed and pulled off his headphones. What do you want me to say, Emma? You went on a date, I crashed it, I was an idiot. End of story. I crossed my arms. No, not end of story. You don't get to ruin my evening and then go all brooding hero about it. He gave a short laugh. Brooding hero? Please. I'm barely a functioning adult. Then why did you follow me? He opened his mouth, then closed it again. For once, Ryan Blake, the guy who always had a comeback, looked unsure. Finally, he said quietly, because I didn't like seeing you with him. My heartbeat went somewhere above normal human levels. That's not a reason. It's the only one I have, he said. The room felt suddenly too small, like the walls were listening. He ran a hand through his hair and looked away. You moved in here and turned everything upside down. You leave mugs everywhere, you steal my hoodies, you laugh when you think I'm not listening. And I. He stopped, letting out a shaky laugh. I don't know when that became the best part of my day. I didn't know what to say. My brain had completely short-circuited. Ryan. I began, but he kept talking. I get it if you don't feel the same, he said quickly. I just needed to say it before I stop pretending it's just fun teasing. Something inside me softened. All the irritation, the arguments, the late-night banter, it suddenly made sense. I took a step closer. You shouldn't have followed me, I said softly. But I'm kind of glad you did. His eyes lifted to mine. Yeah. I smiled, small and real. Ethan was nice. But he wasn't you. For a heartbeat, the only sound was the rain tapping against the window. Then he smiled, slow, disbelieving, hopeful. So, what does that mean? It means, I said, you owe me a proper date. One that doesn't involve stalking or chocolate lava cake sabotage. He laughed, relief flooding his face. Deal. I turned to walk away, but he caught my wrist gently. Emma. Just so you know, he said, his voice dropping to a playful whisper, I still think you talk in your sleep. I rolled my eyes. And what do I supposedly say? He grinned. You'll have to find out next time. Next time. I echoed. Yeah, he said, still smiling. The date. The one I'm going to plan perfectly. No sabotage, no confusion, just us. I shook my head, but I couldn't stop smiling. You'd better not mess it up. No promises, he said. Later that night, lying in bed, I listened to the rain again. Only this time, it didn't sound lonely. It sounded like a rhythm that matched the quiet in my chest, a quiet that felt full, not empty. Somewhere across the room, Ryan's breathing evened out. I closed my eyes and whispered to no one in particular. Yeah, maybe I do talk in my sleep. By Saturday morning, Ryan was acting suspiciously normal, too normal. He hummed while making breakfast. He smiled without saying why. That's when I knew he was up to something. Why are you so happy? I asked, squinting at him over my cereal. He slid a folded piece of paper across the table. Your official invitation. It read, date contract. One real date, guaranteed to include food, mild embarrassment, and a minimum of 3 compliments. Signed, Ryan Blake, professional idiot. I laughed despite myself. You made a contract? Gotta keep things organized, he said. You're a rules person, remember? Fine. I scribbled my name at the bottom. But if this goes terribly, I get full snack rights for a week. Deal. By evening, he showed up at the dorm door wearing a button-down shirt and holding a single sunflower. Roses felt too predictable, he said, scratching the back of his neck. I smiled. Sunflowers are my favorite. I know, he said simply. The walk to the little cafe off campus was filled with easy chatter. Inside jokes, teasing, a few awkward pauses that turned into laughter. For once, there wasn't any pretending. No walls. Just us. When we sat down, the waiter handed us menus, and Ryan immediately flipped his upside down. I'm ordering backwards. Why? Life's short. Dessert first. He pointed to the chocolate cake, and I burst out laughing. Of course. We shared a slice, laughing as the fork kept landing in the wrong direction. At one point, he leaned across the table and wiped a smear of frosting from my lip with his thumb. I froze. You could have just told me. Where's the fun in that? He said, his voice soft now. Besides, you look better smiling. Cue the heart doing that ridiculous flip again. After dinner, we walked through the park behind the cafe. Fairy lights hung from the trees, and the air smelled like rain on warm pavement. Ryan kicked at a pebble and said quietly, You know, I didn't think you'd actually say yes. Why not? You like plans. I'm not exactly reliable. I nudged him with my elbow. You're better than you think. He looked at me then, really looked. You always say things like that. Like what? Things that make me want to believe you. I didn't have an answer. So I just smiled and looked up at the lights instead. He hesitated, then took my hand, slowly, like asking permission. I didn't pull away. The world went quiet for a moment. No teasing, no rules, just that steady heartbeat feeling between us. On the walk back, we stopped at the edge of the dorm steps. So, I said, pretending to check a mental list. You met the contract conditions: food, embarrassment, compliments. I guess it was successful. He grinned. You forgot one. Which one? This. He leaned in just a little, close enough that I could smell the hint of coffee on his breath, but not enough to cross the line. Just a promise hanging in the space between us. Then he smiled and pulled back. Next time. I blinked. Next time. Yeah, he said softly. You didn't think the contract ended at one date, did you? I laughed, shaking my head. You're impossible. And yet you signed the contract, he said, walking backward toward the hall. No refunds. Later, lying in bed, I turned the sunflower over in my hands. Its petals were bright and stubborn, just like him. For the first time since moving into that flooded dorm, I didn't feel displaced. I felt exactly where I was supposed to be. A week after the date, life felt weirdly easy. Ryan and I had slipped into a rhythm: morning coffee, shared playlists, late-night talks about nothing. It was the kind of quiet happiness that sneaks up on you when you're not paying attention. Until it didn't. It started small, a rumor. Hey Emma, my friend Lucy said during lunch. Is it true Ryan's getting back with his ex? I blinked. What? Somebody saw him talking to Mia outside the gym yesterday. Mia Thompson. The cheer captain. The one with the perfect smile and a history with Ryan Blake. Oh, I said, pretending my stomach hadn't just dropped. They're probably just friends. Lucy shrugged. Sure. Just thought you should know. That evening, I found Ryan in our room, scrolling through his phone. He looked up, smiling like nothing was wrong. Hey, library girl. I forced a grin. Hey. Busy day. Practice ran long. Coach nearly killed us. He tossed his phone onto the bed. You okay? You look off. Fine, I said, way too fast. He studied me. You sure? Positive. He hesitated, then nodded. All right. I was going to grab dinner with Mia and a few others. Team stuff. Want me to bring you something back? There it was. Mia. I shook my head. No thanks. I've got leftovers. Cool, he said, already grabbing his jacket. Don't wait up. The door closed behind him, and the room suddenly felt twice as quiet. By the time he came back later that night, I was pretending to study. He dropped a paper bag on my desk. Extra fries. You always steal mine anyway. Thanks, I said flatly. He paused. Did I do something? No, Emma. I sighed, closing my laptop. Why didn't you tell me you were hanging out with your ex? He looked confused. Because it wasn't a big deal. We were planning a charity game. It's not. Ryan, people are talking. He rubbed the back of his neck. You believe rumors now? I believe what I see. What did you see? Nothing, I admitted, hating how small my voice sounded. That's the problem. He stared at me for a long second, then said quietly, I thought you trusted me. I do, I said, softer this time. I just don't want to be the only one who cares. That one landed. His shoulders dropped. Emma, you're not. The silence between us stretched thin. Neither of us seemed to know what to do with it. Finally, he said, Okay, I'll go shower. Maybe we can talk when we're not both ready to snap. I nodded, but he didn't move right away. He looked at me, almost like he wanted to say something else. Then he didn't. The door closed again. For the first time since the flood that started all this, the room felt like two separate worlds, his and mine. I sat there staring at the half-cold fries, wondering how something that had felt so easy yesterday could hurt this much tonight. Later, I heard him come out of the shower. The light clicked off, and his bed creaked as he lay down. I turned on my side, facing the wall. After a long while, his voice came quietly through the dark. Emma. Yeah. I don't know what everyone's saying, but I meant what I told you before. You're the best part of my day. My throat tightened. Then maybe start showing it. He didn't answer. Just the sound of rain again, steady and soft, like the night everything started. And even though my heart hurt, some tiny, foolish part of me hoped the rain was trying to fix things, one drop at a time. The next morning, the air between us felt like fog, thick enough to trip over. Ryan grabbed his backpack and mumbled, I'll be late tonight. Team meeting. I just nodded. No jokes, no teasing. The silence followed him out the door. Classes blurred by. Even my favorite professor couldn't pull me out of the knot in my chest. By afternoon, I was sitting under the big oak behind the library, rereading the same paragraph for half an hour. Then a shadow fell across my notebook. Room for one more? Ryan. Hair messy, eyes tired, holding 2 coffees. I hesitated. I thought you had practice. Skipped, he said, sitting beside me. Coach'll live. He handed me a cup. My name was written on it in his messy scroll, Library Girl Hot Beverage. I tried not to smile. You're breaking rules again. He shrugged. Needed to talk to my favorite rulemaker. For a minute we just listened to the wind shaking the branches. Finally, I said, you don't owe me an explanation. We're not. Stop. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I do owe you one. He took a breath. Mia and I were talking about the charity game. She asked if we could try being friends again. That's all. I didn't tell you because it felt awkward, and I didn't want you to think that I cared. I said quietly. That you didn't have to, he corrected. But I wanted you to. My heart did that stupid flutter again. You're terrible at communication. He smiled. I'm trying. We sat there, both pretending not to blush. Then he pulled something out of his pocket, a folded piece of notebook paper. Another one of your contracts? I asked. Yeah, he said, handing it over. Version 2.0. I unfolded it. Roommate contract, amended. Still no stealing snacks. Still no walking around shirtless, fine, sometimes. No more pretending we don't like each other. Optional clause, dinner dates allowed with each other. This agreement has no expiration date. Signed. Ryan Blake. I looked up. He was watching me, half nervous, half grinning. "You're serious?" I asked. "As serious as I get," he said. "But, I need your signature to make it official." I grabbed his pen, pretending to study the paper. "Clause 3 looks suspicious." "Clause 3 is the best part. And 5 is cheesy." "You like cheesy," he said. "You hang out with me." I laughed and signed my name underneath his. When I handed it back, he didn't take it. He just leaned forward slowly, hesitating long enough for me to meet him halfway. The kiss was quick, soft, a little awkward, and exactly right. When we pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. "So," he whispered, "does that mean you'll renew the contract next semester?" "Depends," I said, smiling. "Do I still get snack privileges?" "Unlimited." "Then maybe I'll keep you around." That night, we tacked the new contract to the corkboard above the desk. The old one, the list of no flirting and no shirts, was still there, crinkled at the edges. "Should we throw the first one out?" he asked. I shook my head. "It's part of the story." He smiled. "Our origin document." I rolled my eyes. "You make everything sound like a superhero movie." "Hey," he said, sliding an arm around my shoulders, "every story needs an origin." Outside, rain started again, soft, familiar. The same sound that had filled this room the night we first met. Only this time, it didn't sound like bad luck. It sounded like home. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more original novel stories. And stay tuned, our next story is coming soon.